What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. Today I want to talk to you about some short-term catalysts that could give Lucid a nice little bump up and hopefully out of this negative downtrend that it and the broader market is on. Before I get into any of that, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up is always greatly appreciated. With that, let's get right to it. So when it comes down to it, their upcoming earnings. So Q3 earnings is going to be a very big catalyst for Lucid. And just for full transparency, they have not announced their actual earnings date. So you can see on the NASDAQ website, it does list the 21st. On tip ranks, it does show the 13th. I believe my broker does say the 15th or the 16th, somewhere around there. But generally, it's all over the place, has not been confirmed as of yet. They typically like to give around 2 weeks courtesy notice to investors. So that's something you need to factor in. And in case you guys haven't participated in previous earnings, there's a couple of different things that a lot of investors and institutions really look at. Earnings per share, revenue, future guidance. Those are the big three. But in Lucid's case, we're also going to be caring about the delivery numbers and also reservation numbers. But given the circumstances of where Lucid is at as far as production and where they are as far as an operational and business stance, I don't think looking at earnings per share or revenue is that big of a deal. Once they start to get down production, that is when you should start to look more so on the revenue and earnings per share front. As of right now, though, I think everyone and their dog will care about the future guidance, delivery numbers, and so forth. Even technically the reservation numbers, as good as it is, there's no point in having 50 or 100,000 vehicle reservations if they can't produce vehicles. First and foremost is going to be delivery numbers. That is most likely what is going to dictate where we go up or down. Based on Rivian's previous announcement about their Q3 delivery numbers, is very optimistic that Lucid could have a home run or a very surprise number. I did do a video hypothetically around 3,300 is where we could be looking at. So let me know your thoughts on that. But generally, that is a very big catalyst. And one thing that Lucid has done historically, at least over the last couple earnings, is 1 week before their actual earnings, they like to give a surprise catalyst, and usually is Saudi Arabia related. During the Q2 earnings, they did announce the 100,000 vehicle order by Saudi Arabia over the next 10 years. Q1 was something, again, Saudi Arabia related, but I can't remember exactly what that was off the top of my head. But still, that might be something that they do continue for the Q3. So do anticipate a little bit more of a possible catalyst surprise coming from Lucid. So let me know your thoughts on that. And once again, more so in the next couple of weeks, institutions are going to be starting their 13F, so disclosing their positions in Lucid. And when it comes to it though, November is a very big month. So the first 2 weeks of November exactly, that's when a lot of the big players are disclosing their positions in Lucid. Generally, that's always seen as a very big catalyst, especially more so if there's a surprise one such as Morgan Stanley or someone else that increases their position pretty significantly. So let me know your thoughts on that. But I think us as investors are all just going to be watching the PIF in reality and seeing what they do. Hopefully one of these quarters they will be actually increasing their position, which I personally feel if that ever does happen, Lucid stock is just going to go up massively. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. And one thing as well that we are kind of entering into that definitely doesn't happen a lot is midterm elections. So midterm elections historically causes the stock market to go up. So generally speaking, that might be a good catalyst to get us out of this rut. Obviously, it won't necessarily just be Lucid, it'll be the broader market, but that might be something you can factor in. Keep in mind though, whether you actually buy in Lucid because of that being a attributing factor, I'm not really sure. But still, if you do couple that with what I already previously mentioned, it could be a very good catalyst to kind of group together. And in similar fashion though, when I talk on catalysts and things like that, I like to read between the lines and what's happening behind the scenes. And when it comes to it, CPI, I'm sure a lot of you guys are already very bored of hearing the term CPI and things like that. And based on this chart, the number of actual reports, it was anticipated at this stage that we're starting to trend down. Unfortunately, that wasn't necessarily the case though, but still, once we do start to show a little bit more signs of it going down, that is going to give a lot of momentum to the broader market. So especially if you do couple that with the midterm elections and also the Q3 earnings, and there's a lot of good reason to buy Lucid at this stage, and good catalyst. So let me know your thoughts on that. The next CPI data that is coming out is going to be set for October the 13th. So generally, I think the forecast is that it's going to go down, but unfortunately, like I already mentioned, that's been the expectation over the last 3. So still, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I'm a very big fan of the technicals. So when it comes down to the technicals, I personally feel that is one attributing factor that could be a very big catalyst. So when it comes down to the technicals, one big thing that we have gone up because over the last couple of days is merely because we've been oversold. So on the actual chart, despite us being down today, stochastic is still considered oversold, and we do have that deviation, so black line above the red, showing a nice bullish trend. And on the momentum indicator, you can tell a number of retail investors have for the most part maintained their position, which is always a very good sign. RSI is also at 47, and right now still lower percent of the Bollinger Band, not enough to actually get outside of that and stay above that. But when it comes down to that though, there's one thing as well that is more so attributed to the Q3 earnings. If we do have very good delivery numbers, there's some people that are waiting on the sidelines to get in just because of that, and that is analysts. So as you can see, these are all the recent analyst upgrades or ratings, as I guess I should call them, on Lucid. So I think a lot of analysts have been waiting for Lucid to actually have some actual production, and hopefully if we do have that, for instance 3,300, give or take around that for Q3 delivery numbers, I anticipate a lot more analysts jumping on board, which did happen in Rivian's case. It's always a very good sign when analysts jump on board, and just for argument's sake, even when Cantor Fitzgerald or Needham or Citigroup, any of those jumped on board and gave us ratings, even though they're not the target prices that a lot of us were expecting, around 30 or plus, when those analysts gave us ratings though, we went up 5% each case. So again, it's all connected. We have good earnings, analysts are going to jump on board, which would be back-to-back catalysts. So I think we're in a very interesting time right now. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below, and if you see any other possible catalysts coming in the short term for Lucid that could give it a nice little bump up. So let me know your thoughts on that. If you do like interactive brokers, analyst ratings, and technicals and so forth, click on the link in the description below or also the comments. Just click on it, play around. It does have a lot of good information. But with all that, appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.